we're not doing anything to block this. A lot of what we seem to be doing, if we're kind of interested in this stuff, spiritual searching and so forth, a lot of it seems, it kind of revolves around, stopping doing the stuff that's blocking us from seeing this in whatever way. For example, by being in the now, being present, meditating, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But we're not stopping ourselves from seeing this because we are not actually there.
So what is?
But we're kind of addicted to process. We want to be doing something. We want to be told what to do. I mean, it's natural for us. So, yeah, we want to process. There's plenty of places we can get a process as well. Yeah. What was that?
So if we're not stopping ourselves from seeing this, what is stopping us from seeing it?
Yeah, I really wish I hadn't said that now, because it's led me into a trap, hasn't it? Because the terms that I use are misleading. So what is stopping us from seeing it? But there is no us. There's nothing stopping us, because there is no us. This is just what's happening. And in this, a feeling of separation may arise. And in this, the end of that feeling of separation may arise. So there's no one, and there's no one doing anything. There's nothing stopping anything. There is just what is apparently happening. And in that, I mean, usually this is referred to, and I usually refer to it as a sense of separation. So in that, a sense of separation might arise, but we could equally call it a sense of incompletion. Why are we searching? Why are we seeking? Those of us who are searching and seeking, why? Because we feel incomplete. We feel there's something missing. There's nothing missing. The problem is there's something present. There's something missing that we need to find. This is why, in a sense, that the search is so kind of hopeless, because I must think that I'm looking for something. I'm searching for something, even if that something is the disappearance of myself.
That's why people buy gadgets.
Yeah, probably, maybe. Oh, come on, some gadgets are fun, aren't they, in themselves? But yeah, not just gadgets, it's why most of us do most of what we do most of the time.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I tendency to buy kitchen gadgets because you're searching, this will fulfil me.
Absolutely, and don't knock kitchen gadgets because they do fulfil you. Sometimes for as long as 3.5 minutes, a new kitchen gadget will fulfil you, but unfortunately not for 4 minutes in the story of time. So, then we're off again. I mean, absolutely, that's the story of being a person. Yeah. There is something in the very... I find that what I laughingly call my mind has been attracted to the violin again. There's something, there's something in the kind of, in the very nature of existence as a separate person. That we feel incomplete, we feel dissatisfied, so of course we're going to search for something. It may be a kitchen gadget, it may be God. It may turn out that God is a kitchen gadget, I don't know. The ultimate kitchen gadget, waiting for you as you ascend into heaven, to sit on the right hand with angels playing harps, and you find yourself sitting on the right hand of an electric bottle opener, maybe. I don't know. Stop that train of thought there. But in a way, and I mean, it sounds like this may sound like I'm mocking. It may sound banal. It's not meant to be either of those things. It is in a way. This is the heart of our crisis as people. That because there's this feeling of incompleteness, of lack, of incompleteness because of separation, you know, it's kind of, you know, we've got to. It's natural. It's like a crocodile looking for prey. A human looking for meaning, or simply a human looking for satisfaction in a better electric bottle opener, is like a crocodile looking for prey. You don't blame the crocodile for looking for prey, and we don't blame ourselves because we're seeking God or a better bottle opener. It is not essentially different.
There is a difference.
If the Vatican...
There's a difference between being aware materialism can't fulfill you,
Yes.
and just blindly buying into it.
Some
Yes.
People seem to not be even aware.
Yes, of course, yeah. And eventually there may be a difference between, I'm not quite sure how to put this, you know, believing that my meditation practice is going to lead me to nirvana,
It's like spiritual
and
material.
no longer buying into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But essentially, I mean, every part of this character, every part of this personality, just wants to kind of wholeheartedly agree with what you said, you know, because as a personality, I totally buy all of those stories or whatever, and yet there's an awareness here that, you know, and I feel like saying, you know, unfortunately, it's not really unfortunate, it just seems unjust. The one whose life is dedicated to getting a more ingenious nail
Ferrari,
extension and a better electric bottle opener is just as likely to suddenly see that there is no person as the one who has been assiduously following the path of, I don't know, Eckhart Tolle, if that could be said to be, you know, said to be a path. And again, we're back to it's so unfair. Yes, it does seem so unfair. Yeah. To see that cause and effect doesn't have a purchase here.
You mentioned earlier like a gradual seeing of this. There seems to be, for me, for this, whatever, a gradual process.
Yeah.
Not taking the storyline as seriously, and it seems more and more obvious that the self is an illusion, there's no free will, because of reading things like Sam Harris and the science behind that. And it seems more and more obvious that, yeah, the storyline is just something I've made up, things like paying the mortgage or whatever, it's just...
Yeah. Except you didn't make it up, but
No.
yes.
Yeah. And not taking myself as seriously, like if someone insults me or I feel a threat, there's a kind of awareness that there's nothing here, it's just an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that there can be there can be a gradual expansion into this. There can be a sudden and very shocking waking up. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no one here doing anything, it's just arising, yeah.
Absolutely, and yet things appear to be done. Yeah. Those hands just moved, just appeared to be moved, to move, and no one moved them. Yeah.
I've noticed as well, like saying and doing things more impulsively, there's less neurotic thinking about what I should do and say, just do and say things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neuroticism very much belongs to the person who feels himself to be very real. That tends to go, it doesn't have to go with a lot of neuroticism, but it does tend to go, at least in certain cases. Yeah. And neuroticism is also a kind of, I don't want to get too kind of psychological about this, but neuroticism is also, it's kind of like a sort of it's a kind of withheld, suppressed energy. If you think about neurotic feelings, they are invariably kind of repressed or withheld versions of what we could call natural feelings. So it's natural for anger to arise. Because, it doesn't matter, if there was such a thing as the greatest enlightened yogi ever known, it would still be natural for anger to arise. And there's a quote, if I can reach it in my, if I can reach it up there, there's a quote from, I can't remember who it was, even in the greatest yogi, joy and sorrow still arise. That's one I quite like. But equally you could say anger. I mean, there's nothing, sorrow, anger, fear, these are all natural feelings. But the neurotic versions of them, so the neurotic version of anger is irritation, you know, that we could say belongs to the contracted person. And it's not, because it belongs to the contracted person, it doesn't express itself fully, it doesn't move through, the energy doesn't move through. So we probably all know someone who's been irritated for days, weeks, months, or in some cases even years. Just lives their life in a state of continual irritation. You could say, you know, that energy is trapped by the neurosis, but that's getting a bit too psychological. But anger is just an energy. Comes up, it's gone. It's the same difference between fear and anxiety. Anxiety, you know, belongs more to the neurotic person. It can go on and on and on. Fear tends to come up as a response to circumstances. Oh, the crocodile's just taking an interest in me rather than in a fish or whatever. So fear, but then it just works through and it's gone. But anxiety can go on for, well, years, actually.
So could you say objectivity is more of an accurate way of looking at?
You have to spell out what you mean by objectivity.
Well, like the way you describe everything just is as it is. It's not good or bad. It's just, that's what I mean.
Yes, everything is simply what it is.
So feelings
and
are
the mind makes of that good and bad, and that is also simply what is. So it's not good or bad for the mind to make good and bad, good or bad. Yeah.
It's not. You're saying it's not bad for the mind to say things are good and bad. Is that what you're saying?
Is that? Well, it's just what the mind does. Yeah, it's the function of the mind. So it's not bad or good for the mind to do that. It's just, you know, what the mind, which don't forget doesn't actually exist. So we're just talking about a thought stream. Yeah, I mean it's. If you like, as we've been using this term, it's completely natural for the mind stream to make judgments of good and bad. It's one of the most obvious and most frequent things it does. Good, bad, good, bad. Look at the way he's sitting. Look at that shirt. Oh, I don't like you know what he just said. Blah 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 blah. Those are nice bananas somebody brought us. You know, I wish it wasn't so hot in here. Blah, blah, blah. Endless, endless, endless. You know. One of the things that the mind, which doesn't exist, does most effectively is judge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, for all the talking and the concepts, and, you know, I love that as much as anybody, that's perfectly obvious. It's very, very simple. You know, there's everything that happens, and there's nothing happening, and they're not different, they're the same. Everything that happens is nothing happening. As I've put it many times, and as other people have put it many times, sound is silence making a noise. Movement is stillness moving. They're not different. And when the one who feels himself to be separate is standing in the middle of Piccadilly Circus, that sounds like complete nonsense. Buses are moving, they are not still. The traffic is roaring, it is not silent. The violin that I thought was a recorder was playing music, it was making sounds, it was not silent, it just sounds completely ridiculous. But when the self drops, it's just obvious that that bus roaring past in Piccadilly Circus is stillness moving. And the spluttering, coughing, exhaust noises that it makes is silence making a noise. And that's the point at which, if you like, it is likely to be seen that the idea that one place or some places are special and holy is utterly ridiculous. And so all our thoughts, particularly if we're spiritual seekers, all our thoughts that we can perhaps, you know, what is it that it's Wayne Lickerman's alter ego Lao Tzu says, isn't it, that we believe that enlightenment can only be found in a land without toilets. You know, all that kind of thought that we have to be in some special place, some holy, holy, spiritual special place. You know, or reverberating with the silence of 1,000 years of monks meditating and so forth. It's just seemed to be utterly ridiculous. I've said this several times before. You know, I was told once in a great reverence about a temple in Japan where there has been uninterrupted Buddhist chanting for 800 years. Think of that! 800 years without interruption of Buddhist monks chanting. What a holy, wonderful place. But one split second of seeing this, which by the way might happen while you're standing in Piccadilly Circus, it's not guaranteed, but try it. You know, but one split second of seeing this, and that just becomes utterly ridiculous, because Piccadilly Circus on a hot Saturday afternoon with buses and taxis roaring past is just as silent. Is just as silent as the most holy spiritual place on earth, whatever the hell that would even mean. So this is the seeing that silence and stillness underlies everything, everyone, everywhere.